Let me introduce myself. I am Karen Lazan. I'm the District 2 Advanced Training Committee Chair. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. I'm excited to have Victoria Ganatoka presenting tonight, helping us through the web of social media possibilities. Don't blame her for that pun. That was all mine. Victoria joined Toastmasters in April of 2017 and has been discovering her path in leadership, speaking, and communication ever since. Her home club is West Seattle Toastmasters, Club 832, and she has served in multiple club officer roles and also as an area director last year. This year, her focus is on public relations and social media, which she continues to improve through her VPPR role and as social media coordinator for District 2. Victoria considers teaching others to be a purpose of her life and is always eager to share her knowledge and experience with others. When not in Toastmasters or at work, you can find Victoria running half marathons in national parks around the country, traveling, reading, and building with her Legos. Her favorite social media? LinkedIn and Instagram. Please welcome Victoria with Let's Get Social, social media strategies to grow your club.
Thank you, Karen. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I'll be sharing my screen in a second, but just as heads up, there will be a lot of links, and don't worry about taking notes. We will be sharing the slides from this presentation at the end of the meeting. You will be able to download them in chat. And also there will be a few other handouts that hopefully you will find helpful for your clubs as you look into your social media strategies. So let's get started. Let's get social media strategies to grow your club. As Karen mentioned, this presentation will be recorded, and we recommend to follow District 2 on our District 2 YouTube channel so that you can get access to this and other recordings from other trainings as soon as they get posted. If you were to walk away with the key three learnings from this presentation, or tell anyone in your club, what did you learn? These are the three learnings that I'm going to share. Content is everything. We know that in social media, an image is worth 1,000 clicks, but the words still have a power if they're used correctly. We know that social media does not exist in a vacuum, and you have to create connections around the social media and around the people who are behind the social media and who are in it. And finally, the third learning is you are not alone. Whether you club VPPR or you simply support the social media efforts for your club, you have to keep in mind that you are not alone in this effort. You should invite your fellow members to participate, and in Pathways Level 4 projects allow you to even get credit for that. Our agenda for today, we're going to briefly cover an introduction, why social media and what is the social media universe that we're talking about. We're then going to go into the social media strategy and spend a little bit of time in defining the target audience, how to answer these three questions, and how to connect the dots. And finally, we're going to spend quite some time on the social media management, covering topics like account maintenance, content creation, and search engine tips. So why social media? I really like this quote that you can see on the screen by Eric Coleman from his book on socialnomics, which says, we don't have a choice on whether we do social media. The question is how well we do it. It's obviously not a question whether we as Toastmasters Club should be on social media. It's really a question of how we do it and where we do it. On this other chart, you can see here the different mediums of social media. So when we say social media, it is not just Facebook. It is social networks, which is places like Facebook. It is places like for video and photo sharing content, YouTube, Instagram. It is discussion forums, etc. So there's a whole universe of social media. For the purpose of today's presentation, we're going to focus more on social networks. But overall, the analysis that I've done in preparation for this presentation shows that we as Toastmasters probably mostly play in these two types, which is social networks and media sharing networks. But it's good to know the universe. So when we look at the social networks, what is actually the size of them? In the United States, as of 2021, there is a total of 179 million Facebook users, followed by Instagram, 118 million, followed by Pinterest, Snapchat, etc., as you can see on the slide on the bars. Why it's important? Because we can put it in perspective in the universe of how many Toastmasters there are out there with an average number of members per club. So there are a total of 300,000 Toastmaster members with an average of about 18.9 members per club. So when we look at how many people that are using social media versus how many clubs, I think it clearly tells us there is a big potential to grow clubs to attract more members through social media. When we look at who uses social media at the average age, again, the latest Toastmasters data shows that the average age of the Toastmaster member is 46.2. On a slide to the left, the size of the bar shows us how many in millions by each age group who are using social networks. And you can see the majority sit within 25-34, and then followed by 35-44 to 45 to 45-54, which falls within that average of the Toastmaster member. So again, there is a lot of people of the same age that are attracted to Toastmasters who are also attracted to social networks. And finally, why social media? Obviously, there's a variety of reasons, but what I was trying to put together is how do we know why people use social media and why people come to Toastmasters? In 69% of members who come to Toastmasters, they have come to become more confident and effective speakers. Now that, of course, directly will never correlate with social media, because if you can see on the list here, again, ranked from the top to the bottom, people come to social media to stay in touch with friends and family, fill spare time, read news stories, find funny, entertaining content, etc. But I think where the link could be, knowing that 69% of Toastmasters members join Toastmasters to become confident and effective speakers, we can leverage the reasons why people use social media to get them to that goal. So for example, if people spend the second most popular reason, time on social media, to fill spare time, or to find entertaining content, or find inspiration for things to do, I think these are certainly those exact same reasons that we provide as clubs. We have amazing speakers with entertaining speeches. We provide inspiration. So I really think if that type of content matches the reasons, again, we can attract members to the club. Moving into the social media strategy. So we know, again, the universe, we know that it's not a question of whether we do it, it's a question of how well we do it. So where do we start? First of all, you have to define the target audience. As the definition here on the screen says, the social media target audience is the specific group of people that you want to reach through your social media channels. And they're probably the ones that are most likely to be interested in your content, product, and services. And they're united by some common characteristics like demographics and behaviors. So you might say, well, I do know who are the members of my club. I see them, every week, every month. But who are all those people out there using social media? Well, Toastmasters can help us with that. First of all, on Toastmasters International, there is a statistics and data hub where you can pull by region different statistics like the percent of female members, average age, percent of students, etc. I just pulled some of the examples here, which will give you an idea to at least, let's say, in North America or in the United States or in specific states, who are those people who are current Toastmasters, not just in your club, but in average. Then what you can do, you can look at that data and then you can compile it against your existing membership. What do you know about them? And that will help you to define what is that universe of people that will be your target audience. You also can research on social media to understand how people engage with Toastmasters. You can check out the benchmark, so our Toastmasters International, who they post for, who they tag in their posts. You can check similar organizations. So organizations who also offer public speaking or leadership training, who are they trying to attract? And it's usually easy to understand by the content that they post. And that will help you to define who are those new members that you're trying to target through your social media efforts. Once you defined your target audience, you might want to answer these 3 questions. I've used them multiple times in my past experience and found them very helpful. So the question number one, how do prospect members find you and know when and where you meet? And what you want to do here is do social media audit. Pretend you are that new member who heard of Toastmasters, but was trying to Google it, look it up on Facebook, look it up maybe on Twitter, on Instagram, whatever the means that you are, and sit down with your club membership, your officers or broader club membership, and try to see, is it easy? Can you actually find your club from when you find it on social media? Is it easy to understand when and where you meet? Once you've done that, the second question is, how do prospect members know who you are and what your club provides? So although they can find you, do they know what differentiates you? Why you're different than another club? Is it the location? Is it your club membership? Is there anything special about it? And again, this all has to come to the front and center of your social media efforts so that it's not many clicks away, but 1 or 2 clicks away. So what you want to do here, once you find that out, is to put together social media goals and objectives. You know what your club provides, you know your target audience. Now you can build your efforts around it. And finally, the third question is, how do new and current members engage with you? Once you attracted those members and they joined your club, you're still going to continue your social media efforts, but you want to understand how you're going to continue communicating with your members, what content you will be sharing, and how you're going to still continue to promote the club. And what you want to do here is to do budgets, tactics, and tools. So decide what tools you're going to use. Does your club has the budget or needs the budget for social media? Are you going to do paid marketing, organic marketing? Are you going to engage friends to like you on Facebook? What will be those specific tactics that you're going to deploy? So you answered those 3 questions and did your to-dos list. The next is you want to connect the dots. I always think about social media as it's not something that exists in a vacuum. And as you know, the popular connect the dots game, like here, you know, looking at this hummingbird, ask yourself the same question. If your club has presence on Facebook, can this be connected to Google or to your club website or to your maybe club Twitter account, whatever it is, because it all has to be correlated. So for example, one of the exercises you can go through, like I outlined here, is my club has social media accounts and define what it is. Let's say it's Facebook. Is it linked to TI website? So when people click on find your club, do they see that you have a social media account and there is a link to it? Once that happens, check your site. Is it linked to your site? Is it linked on your club's agenda? Is it linked to your meeting agenda or whatever software you use for meeting management? If you Google your club, does it show up there? So really go through these exercises. This cannot be just sentences that I've outlined here. You can, again, brainstorm with your members and come up with more. But the goal here is try to connect the dots, because it will never be that social media presence is just there by itself. It's all connected and creates that network that whenever the member, like I showed earlier on that first question, how do they find you? Whether they find you through your Facebook, for example, account, through TI websites, through Google, through your club website, they attended a meeting, saw an agenda, it has to be present everywhere and well connected. Once you've done that, then brainstorm about the other piece, is how do you connect with people? And there are multiple ways. Of course, our first reaction is to just invite our club members to like our Facebook page, maybe to follow us on Twitter, etc. But again, social media will not be there without the people. There are a lot of people behind it who use it. There are a lot of people behind it who create it. So we want it to be all interconnected. So when you think about, again, who could be those potential people, you don't even need to do some paid marketing. It can be as simple as invite your current club members to like or engage with you on your social media profile. Invite the past club members. Even if they no longer attend the meetings, they might want to stay in touch just to see what the club is up to. And some of them will re-engage later if their time and their schedule allows. Invite the club members, family and friends of family and friends. Any guests visiting your club, even if it was one visit and they don't come back for another few meetings, invite them to follow you on social media. So again, it stays on top of their minds. If anyone commented on your club post or responded to an event, if you shared it on social media, invite them to your social media network. And of course, anyone who inquired about your club or Toastmasters in general, even if they didn't attend the meeting. So there is a whole area of people you can connect, even if they didn't make it to the meeting, but you can start engaging with them early on the social media. So this was kind of how you define your strategy. You define your audience, you answer the 3 questions and do your 3 to-do lists, and then you connect the dots by making sure that your social media does not exist in a vacuum and that you have a network of people who you can invite to participate and who can engage with you. The next topic we're going to go to is social media management. I will not spend time on account creation because I've actually done my research, and most of clubs in our district do have great accounts and do have Facebook presence. But I'm going to focus more on the account maintenance and content creation and search engine tips. So first, the account creation. As I mentioned, most of our clubs in our district do have Facebook presence, but there is a key difference to understand. There is a difference between Facebook page versus Facebook group. The one on the left you can see here is an example, for example, from Toastmasters North Seattle. It is a page. And what Facebook as a company defines a page, it's usually used by the businesses or organizations, and it allows you to connect with your fans or customers. And when someone likes or follows a page on Facebook, they can start seeing updates from that page in their newsfeed. And you know that it is a page because there usually will be a logo, a sign to follow. You will have different tabs. It will immediately show you the about this page information, and then of course the newsfeed. The group, unlike the page, is different, and some of our clubs choose to use the groups instead of a page. So the group is really a place to communicate about shared interests with certain people. So let's say if your shared interest is public speaking, communication, or leadership, you can create a group of members to contribute to this group and share links or any other content. When you join group on Facebook, it can be private, it can be public. You also will start seeing content from that group in your newsfeed. So sort of the final result will be kind of the same, but you will see how the group it doesn't have as much visual presence as the page. It's really more for members to connect with each other. It's also unlike the page, which usually is managed by one person and others can like the post or engage with the post. In group, usually depending on the settings, everyone can contribute. So if you have 40 members in this group from your club, they can all go and post content. They can all comment on each other's content. It doesn't need to be driven by one person. Thinking about your club, probably the best use, of course, is the Toastmaster page. It's also kind of defined by Toastmasters International, many other businesses. But if you did want a group, there could be a use case, for example, to create a group for officers, if you did want to use Facebook for that, or corporate clubs. Because as we know, corporate clubs do not always require social media necessarily because they promote clubs differently within their organizations, but they could still create a group on Facebook just to connect with fellow Toastmasters members outside of their kind of company or company network. So those are 2 key differences in case you come across them on Facebook. So once you know, again, the majority of our clubs have pages, it's important to maintain it and manage it. And you'll see in the red here, it's important to personalize it and to keep it updated. I log into Facebook every day, but once I didn't log in for just probably 2 or 3 weeks, I was on vacation, I come back and there's already so many changes. Facebook, as any other network, does updates without our control many, many times. So every time you log in, you have to make sure that you have filled out every possible new place, make sure if it's mandatory or it's optional, and always make sure that it's updated and personalized. So when we talk about personalization, an example here I took from Toastmasters International, you want to make sure you have a logo, you have your background page, make sure that you have a tag. So tag helps people to find your club. So let's say if my club is Victoria's Toastmasters, but I didn't add a tag, Victoria's Toastmasters, when people are going to be looking for my club on Facebook, it might not come up in search results because I don't have a tag. So it's really important on Facebook page to fill out every little thing that Facebook requires from you, because that helps you to come up with search results. That includes, if you go through all of these tabs and click on more, again, fill out all this little information like your phone number and how to find you and email, etc. But also keep it updated. So for example, I noticed just this month before, and actually it's still, if you click on more, the reviews tab was sort of hidden. But now if you do have reviews, if your club has reviews, it will show up by default next to your club name, which is a new feature. Also, if you click on more, there's always new videos. Now, Facebook also attaches video content separate from photo content and all kinds of things. So go through this regularly. I would recommend at least once a month and make sure that you're staying updated with the latest additions that Facebook puts out there. Content. The next few slides will spend on content because you created your page, you maintain it, you keep it updated, but really what is driving those target audiences or new members that you're trying to attract is the content that you post on social media. And I really like this quote from the co-founder of Reddit, who said, being effective at social media, whether for business or personal use, means capturing people who have short attention spans. They're only a click away from a picture of a funny cat. So you have to make your thing more compelling than that cat. And that can be a high bar. We certainly know that content on Facebook or any other social media is driven by visual. It has to be very visual. But as this quote says, people are very easily distracted because there's a lot of content out there, and you have to be sure that every post that you create, any piece of content, goes with a good image. So to illustrate this, we look at this, for example, picture from the Toastmasters meeting, right? It's colorful. The gentleman who's presenting is smiling. He has open body gestures. It's very welcoming. It's very positive. So imagine you post that on social media, on your newsfeed, along with some comments and link to your club. But you have to keep in mind that when people scroll in their newsfeed, your competition is the cat. So you really, what I recommend is take pictures during the club meetings, even today when we're in Zoom times. It can be a Zoom screenshot. You can invite your members to do something funny. I mean, just show how engaging and how fun your club is. Just again, because the attention span is short and we're all aware of the cat photos and cat videos. Next, when we think about content creation, a lot of times we ask ourselves, well, what do I share out there, right? I can put when we meet, I can put my club meeting, maybe I can share something about my members, but how do you keep it continuous and engaging? So let's look at the table here on the left. This data shows us what are the top activities on social media. So when people do go, not the reason that they go, but what they're actually doing, and they're ranked in the order of the most active to the least. So people come to view photos, so again, that visual content, followed by watching videos. They come to share content with everyone. They come to share content one-on-one, so they're going to send a private message. They come for networking news, and then finding, shopping for products and promoting my business. So knowing that, again, the visual content is in the top two, whether it's video or photo, keep that in mind that every post has to have that visual aspect to it. So knowing that, you decide on your audience. So when you do that post, is it something that will be more appealing to your current members who just want to check in, what's new in the club or when is the next meeting? Or maybe to your prospect members, or maybe to a specific group. Some of your club members maybe are doing a specific workshop or something. So keep that in mind, and then decide on the content type. So there's very many various types of content we can do as Toastmasters. You can reshare something, for example, from Toastmasters International, or maybe another club that you maybe had a joint meeting or they posted something funny and interesting. You can share conversation starters, so like a question or a thought. Of course, multi-video content, so photo or video. You can share your events, any announcements, news that pertain to your club, even if you elected new officers or you have new members who joined. Again, make that content engaging and post. There's always something new that's happening in your clubs. Award celebration from Pathways, you can download digital certificates, especially in these days when we cannot still meet in person. You can download those certificates and celebrate as a club, but also show others how you acknowledge the achievements of your club members. If you host a training or a workshop, or one of your members does, post that there. And it can be even maybe special messages from your club officers or club members. This is a great way to create short video content, to post some photos, to celebrate your club members, but also show others what is it that makes your club special. And when you create that content, again, it's important to keep in mind that it has to be short, straight to the point, and very visual. Facebook data itself actually shows that on average, US adults spend 2.5 hours per day on social media. And that number is actually goes up to 4 hours per day for younger people. And when people are, so during that time, when they're in their newsfeed on Facebook, if they're on their phone, they spend 1.7 seconds with a piece of content. And if they're on the computer on a desktop, it's 2.5 seconds. So that's just how fast they scroll through their newsfeed. And your post needs to be engaging, fun, colorful. It has to be some sort of visual content to get their attention, because remember, it's 1.7 seconds on a mobile and 2.5 seconds on a computer. It's really short attention span because people go through a lot of content. So next, what you want to do when you came up with an idea and you decided what kind of post you're going to create, I recommend, I'm not going to go into detail, but I really like this chart posted by the company here. You can leverage the link as well, but kind of goes through this logical process. Because remember that, as this quote says here, content is fire and social media is gasoline. So remember that if you come up with an idea, just ask yourself quickly, does it have value? Does it fit my network or your club mission? Is this the best format for the post? So let's say, is it better fit for Facebook or Twitter, Instagram, or LinkedIn? Am I posting at the best time? If you Google it, there are actually recommended times when you post, so you can get, again, more engagement. And then before you click that green button, publish, again, just go through this questions. And if you cannot answer all of them yes, there's opportunities for a no. And none of them results in a non-publish, but you just might consider to adjust your post time or adjust the format, or maybe choose different assets, or maybe it's a great post for Twitter, but not as much for Facebook or LinkedIn. So I recommend to go through this think logic before you create the content and put it out there, because as we all know, once it's out there, it's out there. So once you went through this, I want to show you some examples of what makes the perfect post, and on the next slide, some of the not so perfect. So we want to create a perfect post, and this is just some recommendations, then on the requirements. Other than that visual, you want to make sure that you have a short headline, potentially a secondary headline, special characters or emojis, definitely line breaks between the text. You want to have tags and hashtags, and of course a visual. So for example, this post from Toastmasters International, they structured the text. It's very short in a way of a question and an answer. It says who you're going to hear from. It has a link to the post. It has an image, and it has 3 hashtags. I'm going to talk about hashtags a little bit more, but although tags and hashtags are important in social media, you don't want to overdo it. For a lot of times it shows 3 to 5 hashtags is what's recommended, because if you post too much, it decreases the post to be searchable. But also, if you post too many hashtags and people click on them and the content doesn't match the hashtag, it's not a good experience. Another post here from one of our fellow clubs, they advertised this event on Meetup. They actually tagged the name. You see it's highlighted in blue. They put a hashtag. It's short. It's not too long post. And of course, if you do want to benchmark against some other maybe places outside of Toastmasters, I would recommend just go on companies like Target or Starbucks and just quickly scroll through their news feed. If we look at Target, very quick, short sentence, there's an emoji, there's a link, and there is a tag to the creators of this new Halloween product, and it's 8,000 likes, 150 comments, 107 shares. Starbucks Pumpkin Dream, they actually took a post. When you see a little camera here and IG, it comes from Instagram. So what you could also do, if you have members who post great content on Instagram, but they don't mind to be featured in your Facebook feed, you can, with their permission, post their photo on your Facebook feed, but give them credit, kind of like Starbucks does here for one of their customers. and they got almost 7,000 likes. Again, very visual here. Some of the examples of what you don't want to do in a social media post. Again, you don't want to use too many hashtags because that reduces how people will find, and some of them are not accurate. You don't want to make the text too long, as was on the data point earlier, nobody's going to actually read it. And you don't want to repeat your post, doesn't want to repeat what the image says. Let's say if you're posting an event announcement, you don't want to put in the text the same what your invite already says. If it's an image announcing the time and when you meet and where, you don't want to repeat that. And then of course you don't want to have a post without the image. So here's some examples that are actually real examples from Facebook out there, from some of our fellow clubs out there in the world. Let's say one of the clubs posted, and there's actually an image behind it which has a lot of information, but there's too many hashtags there. And if you go through them, right, if somebody were to look for a hashtag toast, they're more likely to find breakfast than Toastmasters. So you wouldn't want this post to show up if somebody's looking for a toast. Again, you don't want to repeat, you speaker speaking. You want to, again, make it 3 to 5 hashtags, not too many. Text is too long. This club, for example, had a really great meeting, super interesting, but it probably could have been just a picture, not so many words. And finally, again, an invite here. There's actually a picture after this invite that was following this text, which repeated a lot of it, which was already saying here. So again, you want to be short and quick. And if you create a visual invite that already says when and where and why you want people to invite, just don't repeat that information, because unfortunately what happens, it distracts people and long posts will not be as prioritized, but also that image will not come through as sharp as we saw in some of the images and examples here. So these are some of the, again, not sort of requirements, but recommendations and best practices, what to do and not to do in your social media posts. The third piece of the content creation is search engines. So let's say you are out of ideas for what to post, or maybe you are not sure for what people actually, how they search for Toastmasters content. I have 2 tips for you, all available for free. They just require a little bit of search. So if you go on Google or Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram or any other social media and type in Toastmasters without typing anything else, it is going to show you the list of the most searched. So these are, for example, results as of a couple of days ago. I typed in Google Toastmasters and it showed me people are looking for Toastmasters Seattle, Bellevue, Bellingham, Tacoma, Passway, Toastmasters for Kids, Toastmasters District 2, Olympia. So perhaps you check once in a while and find out people are looking for clubs in your area. Again, then you might want to use maybe hashtag Toastmasters Bellevue when you post something on your social media so you're findable. So check that. That changes all the time, but it's really also a fun way to see what people are looking for when they're searching for Toastmasters on Google. Facebook, you can do the same. If you go on Facebook and type in without hashtag or anything Toastmasters, if you scroll towards the bottom, it shows you people also searched for. And in this case, for example, people search for, other than the word Toastmasters, they search for Toastmasters Club, Club Online, International, Friends, Family. Again, that tells you and gives you an idea. Perhaps people are looking for Toastmasters clubs that meet online. Is your Facebook page clear that you meet online? Maybe when you post your club meeting, you put a hashtag Toastmasters Club Online. So again, constantly check those search words. Similar story on LinkedIn, but you can see how it's a little bit different. And then if you are on Instagram, you want to search for tags, which again, the most popular tags was how many posts is Toastmasters, Toastmasters International, Club. They sort of repeat themselves, but because again, there's multiple ways how people start the tag, they will get more or less views compared to the others. So highly recommend to use that to get a sort of an idea what people are looking for. And the other way is, which is also available for free, Google, of course, tracks everything and put it for you in nice charts for free. So if you save this link and go on Google Trends site and type in Toastmasters, in this case, I selected the US, it will show you the trend and again, what people are looking for in Google. So in this case, I took the last 12 months and the whole United States. First of all, it shows me the trend over time. So how the word Toastmasters appeared across Google search results, and you can see the times when it spiked, which is actually also a great indicator. Perhaps these are the times, even if we look at the trend in the last 12 months, when maybe more people are interested in Toastmasters, so you might want to tailor your content to those times as well. And if you pull up the 2-year history, if the trend repeats, it will give you an indicator. Those are, let's say, around February or June, July timeframe, again, end of August, September. Maybe those are the times when people are more interested. Maybe they're working on their goals or something in Toastmasters, and you might want to post more content. It gives a split by state. It's showing, the search results by the one that came up most. But what's really cool in this tool, you can actually click on each state and it will show us results just for the state. So if we were to click on Washington State in this tool, it will let us know when people are searching for Toastmasters within the Washington State, what are some of the related topics and queries. So in this case, those are across all of the states. But what's really interesting here, when people did search for related topics to Toastmasters, they were looking for feedback topic, volunteering, skill timer, and public relations. And again, why is this so helpful? And it also shows you if it was up and down in search results. Why it's really helpful is, again, we know organization build on volunteers. Do you want to highlight in your post and use the tags so that people who are looking, you will come up in search results? People are looking for a timer or skill or feedback. We know we do great evaluations and provide feedback. Perhaps instead of evaluation word, you want to also use word feedback so it comes through in those search results. And what was also interesting here, I thought, was that the related query was Toastmasters International login, which probably tells me that some people forget their login or cannot find it. So again, this changes all the time. You can also select a shorter time frame. You can select the last 3 months. You can select the last 2 weeks. And sometimes it will be, very little, but I highly recommend to use it so you can, again, Google tells us what people are looking for. So those are for the search engine. And then I'll just briefly touch on LinkedIn because it is another social media network where we as Toastmasters International and all of our clubs have a big presence. Of course, I invite you all here to follow District 2 on LinkedIn. As you can see here on the right side of the chart, and here's Toastmasters International. Overall, I would say, of course, the presence on LinkedIn, when I looked, is mostly at the district level or, of course, at the Toastmasters International. What's interesting about LinkedIn is obviously it is very either business to business, or if it's business to customers, those customers or consumers are more professional or students or people who are public, professional speakers for their career, etc. So your audience is already sort of predefined for you. But what's also interesting when I looked, a lot of the districts have LinkedIn page, which kind of makes sense. There are some clubs who have it, and the content is not really tailored, or they just have a page without any content. So again, if you were to go on LinkedIn, I would highly recommend to think through, does that fit your club purpose? And is your club audience? Maybe your club is focused on in the past prepared successful maybe speech contestants who became on and went on to become professional speakers. Maybe it does make sense, but I highly recommend to first evaluate that before you do it. We will also be sharing at the end, Toastmasters put actually a really nice PDF, how to create Toastmasters Club LinkedIn profile step-by-step. So if you were to do one, there's a page how to do it. It's free, but it's a different creation process and accounts management than Facebook. So again, think about its professional audience. Another tip about LinkedIn is it's mostly used Mondays through Friday, so it doesn't have much traffic on the weekends, unlike Facebook is on all the time. So that's important because if your club does meet on the weekends, or you are trying to attract people who maybe, engage in public speaking, it's their kind of hobby in their free time, you might not get as much, again, traffic or attention because people mostly are LinkedIn Mondays through Friday in those work hours. It can be also a barrier. So if you like a post on Facebook or you comment on a post, it will not show up in your personal page feed. But in LinkedIn, that functionality is not available. So for example, if I were to go click on Toastmasters District 40 follow them, and they post a great post, and I liked it, and I commented, sounds amazing, looking forward to join your meeting when I'm next time in Columbus, Ohio, it will also show up on my personal LinkedIn profile. Again, that's just something that can be a barrier for some of the members and potential members to engage, depending on the, why they use LinkedIn and what's the purpose. But what I like really about LinkedIn, which I also highlighted here in the bold and have an example from Seema Dal, who was one of our keynote speakers for the District 2 conference this past May, is a lot of our guest speakers in Toastmasters are professional keynote speakers, and they have amazing LinkedIn profiles. And a lot of times they're public. I mean, they want to connect with a ton of people. For example, Seema, she has over 17,000 followers. That's how they build their network. So what I would recommend, if your club has a professional speaker attending and they have a great LinkedIn profile, ask for their permission and post it on your Facebook page or your club page or wherever you advertise the event with the link to LinkedIn to those speakers' profile. First of all, it of course builds more even credibility for the speaker. I mean, they usually really don't mind it, but they usually also have a lot of like great kind of background about themselves, and of course it shows their social media presence. So I really recommend to kind of, again, cross-engage the social networks, but maybe mindful if your club might not necessarily need the LinkedIn page, but you might, if you are inviting professional speakers, or one of your club members maybe is a professional speaker, you can leverage their LinkedIn profiles for your other posts. And the final piece about LinkedIn is that just like in Facebook, LinkedIn also has groups. Again, I've done some research, and there are some clubs out there or districts out there in the Toastmasters world who created groups. So groups are really private. In LinkedIn, I believe most of the groups are maybe on preferences. Yeah, you can make them public, but I looked at the ones through Toastmasters, they were all private. So you need the request to join, which means that only those members will see whatever you're posting there. So maybe if you do want to still leverage LinkedIn for certain more professional purpose, you might also want to consider the group. And finally, the post. I will not go into detail, but as you can even see visually here, LinkedIn posts are very different from Facebook posts. Unlike in Facebook, it's not as heavy on, it does have visuals, but it's not as heavy on being short and being, very like flashy and a lot of emojis. It actually can be a longer post because again, people showcase their professional skills. They want to share their achievements. They want to share their, maybe they're presenting somewhere or whatever that could be. So for example, like in this post from Jay, he's actually featuring the champion of public speaking from last year, Michael Carr. So, he's kind of cross-sharing with his profile, but also showcasing him. So there's a lot of cool information, but also everyone's profile is tagged. Or just simply people who aren't Toastmasters, who also are building their social media networks, they are using LinkedIn to share their achievements and pathways, because of course it is an educational achievement, and even for your employers, you might want to share that content and share your achievements. So that might be something that you might want to encourage your members to do. So that's for LinkedIn, and that kind of covers the three parts. So we looked at the why social media and what's the universe of the social media networks, how to define your strategy, and then how to manage your accounts and how to create that engaging content. I have put in the appendix some useful links, also the projects and pathways that allow your members to maybe help you with your social media efforts, but get the credit. It's in level 4, it's the same for all paths. And there is also some social media, some links that are available through Toastmasters, some links that are available online if you want to learn a little more or get some tools and tips how to create that content. Yeah, here's the pathways. So there is a level 4, building social media presence. Again, they're all elective projects, but they're present in all paths. So once your members got to level 4, they can help you with your social media efforts, but they will also get credit in pathways. There's public relations strategies. And what I really like is there's create a podcast and write a compelling blog, which again, one of your members can do to get the credit, but you can then use that to post something about your club and post it on your club social media. There's some vocabulary that I hope you will find helpful. And yeah, here's my email. If we will go into Q&A, but if you do have any questions that come up later, you can email me. If you maybe want to dive deeper into LinkedIn or you're unsure about something, I'm happy to answer via email after this meeting as well. So I will stop sharing, and we're happy now to take any questions. And I think in chat, these were the links. Thank you, Karen. Any questions?
Go ahead and
What
speak up.
experience do you have about working with paid accounts? Is there any difference in that where you post an ad? I guess it is boost is Facebook's word and on Instagram.
Sorry, can you repeat it again?
Yes, I'm talking about we have a group photo, but there's also the feature to have a boost, paying to outreach more people. Instead of the parameters of Facebook, a boost advertising using your webpage. Yeah, what comments can you tell me about that, Victoria?
Yeah, so two things. First of all, yeah, so you, of course, like by everything I described in my presentation is about organic traffic, right? So whatever you create posts, and if you don't pay Facebook money, essentially it's just hopefully by those hashtags and attractive content, people will be looking and, you know, might click on it. If you did want to do the Facebook advertising, so like boost a post, boost your club page, boost your events, or create a special ad, you have to go, once you have your page, you have to click into your Facebook for Business, and that's where you manage all of that. And actually, Karen just shared in chat, Toastmasters put a really helpful Facebook ad guide. It actually tells you step by step how to do it. But the usefulness of it is really dependent on how well you do it. So when you will see in that guide, and if you have never done it, you cannot like boost your page to everybody, right? So you have to decide with your club or maybe your officers, your target audience. So for instance, I'm gonna boost it 25 miles outside of West Seattle. I only want women or maybe men and women of the age of 35 to 45. And then what's really important, you will see in those settings, do not go with the Facebook default, but put your tags. So it tells you what kind of people with what type of interests do you want to attract. And again, make sure that you use tags like Toastmasters, public speaking. If you're maybe having an event on interview skills, put interview skills. Don't let Facebook do the default. So make sure it's all custom. And then what Facebook recommends, I don't know the reason why, but they recommend to spend at least $5 per day on your ad. And you will see it once you set up all those parameters, Facebook actually calculates before you click boost. It will give you an estimate amount and says estimated reach can be 500 people a day. But when you start changing like the toggle on age and interest, you will see how that number changes. And then, yeah, so that's, and then money-wise, right? Again, the Facebook recommendation is $5 per day. You can run the campaign for whether it's a boost event or you do a special ad for a couple of days or for maybe a week. But what's really cool, it doesn't charge you actually until like somebody engaged with it. So if nobody is clicking on it, they're not going to charge you. But yeah, but that page asks, I'll be honest, like I've done only a few of them, and you know, we got some more maybe people who clicked on the event and the page. I think it's helpful, but maybe just think of like, do you want to promote special events? Do you want to promote your club page? Yeah, so definitely worth trying because it's out there, but also make sure like you have the money and be careful how you again set it up. Don't let Facebook put the default. Okay. I think there's a question in chat. Tell me a little more about hashtags from a complete beginner's view. Yes, so let me actually share my slide again. And I will show you. So yeah, so the difference, this is super important because this is like the the core of your posts and social media. The difference between tag, which is @ and hashtag. So the tag, that's how you engage a person or a business or an entity. So for example, if I make a post and I want to tag Karen, and Karen is like already liking my Facebook page, or maybe I'm connected as a club with her, I can, write something and say, congratulations at Karen, so that then, like she is tagged and, she's notified, but also people can click on her name. Also, it's very important for your club. So as I mentioned earlier, in that Toastmasters, in Facebook page, when you create your page, you need to make sure you have this tag. Many clubs do not have it. It's very important. And it can be just the name of your club. You can customize it, but that's how people find you. And when you create a post, you can tag your club, or if somebody from your members puts something in comments, they can say, add Toastmasters International official fan page, and then I will be notified, oh, somebody posted something and tagged me. So that's when you tag like a person, an individual, or a name, right? Hashtag, unlike, so that's, you don't have to do it all the time. It's only, again, if you do want to tag somebody or someone or something. Hashtag, though, is important in every post. So if you go to Toastmasters International, you will notice they always have hashtag Toastmasters, hashtag public speaking, and then hashtag tip or hashtag meeting or hashtag leader, or like some sort of hashtag. So what hashtag is, it can be a word or a phrase that is preceded by a hash mark. And that's how all of this search algorithms on social media identify a keyword or a topic of interest and help people search for it. So as I mentioned earlier, when you go in the search engines, when Google, here like Google and Facebook, they all tell us, the search results wouldn't have come up if it wasn't like in the background, those tags. So what tags really allow you to do is, like, if I go today, if you posted something from your club and you didn't do any tags, there is a very low chance somebody even going to see your post, unless I know about your club, I go into your page and I see the post. But if you posted the tags, but again, don't overpost them, usually 3 to 5 recommended. If I'm now on Facebook and I'm just looking, is there anything new for public speaking? And I put hashtag public speaking, your post will come up in my search because you put a hashtag. Similarly, if you want someone public speaking wooden wheel, if I'm looking, Toastmasters wooden wheel, maybe I'm looking, other Toastmasters in wooden wheel, and I'll type in my search Toastmasters wooden wheel. If you didn't put that hashtag next to your post, you will not come up in my search results. So that's the difference. Does that, Sharon, answer your question? I hope so.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think we need to do that too. I don't think it's being done. So thank you.
Yeah, I've looked through probably about 50 to 70 clubs in our district before this presentation, and looked at their Facebook pages and posts. And yeah, it's kind of a hit and miss. And honestly, the quick way to see it, post something for your club, use the hashtags, and then go on Facebook and just search for that hashtag and see if you come up in results. I've done this for my club, and I'm like, oh, if I don't come up, because I didn't put the hashtag, right? So, and you will see, like, it's really cool, actually. Like, I put and I saw similar hashtags used by clubs in Singapore and in Europe, because in a way in Toastmasters we use similar. So they will all come up in the search results. So you can see what even clubs from around the world are posting, because that hashtags allow you to find it.
Okay, thanks.
All right, anyone else? I thank you all for coming. And if you have any more questions, you can certainly email Victoria or me. Victoria and I would really appreciate it if you would fill out this feedback survey. It's real quick. And let us know what you thought. Also, I wanted to let you know about upcoming trainings, and Victoria has a slide for me that she put together. So we have 2 trainings in November, and it's all around contests. So the first one is the speech contest training for contestants and judges. And I think that's going to be really interesting. And the very next day is how to run a meeting, whether it's in your club or perhaps area or division. And of course, all the contest will be online this year. So this will help you out, and also how to be a chief judge online in a contest in general, in a contest, and also online. Thank you, Victoria. And that is it for tonight. Is anybody else? Oh, and registration will be, you'll be able to see the registration in Starburst soon for those two trainings in November. Any other questions?
It's just a wonderful presentation. So much information packed in there, and I look forward to seeing the follow-up so I can sit down and with a cup of coffee and go through it again. So,
Watch it again.
yeah, excellent job.
Oh,
Thank you.
yes, lots of great information. Really terrific. I'm going to stop the recording.